This is FCTV, fan-controlled television. Programs created and produced for the fans, by the fans of fan-controlled sports and entertainment. As always, power to the fans. And now, it's time for the show.
Yeah, look at that. Let's switch places real quick. Boop. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Here we go. I've unmuted myself. Now we can all be heard.
Now we can all. Have we switched places on your end? Because on my end, we're
not on my end.
Okay, let's try.
And you'll tell me if I just look like Nick Fuentes, right? Because I feel like I saw myself in a thumbnail, and I'm like, I just look straight up like Nick Fuentes in the suit.
There we go.
Hi,
hello. Nick Fuentes. Is that like Daisy's dad?
No, he's this like 19-year-old fascist. He had dinner with Trump and Kanye at Mar-a-Lago.
Oh yeah. I know this guy. Once you mentioned Kanye, I'm a huge Kanye fan. Hi, welcome to Fan Controlled Fandom. The title of this show is The Marvel-ous Mr. Loki, because we're doing a double dipper today. We challenged ourselves to maybe go see the Marvels, which opened last night, and we did. And also last night was also the final episode, potentially of the whole series of Loki, and we watched them both, and we're now going to talk about it on this show. Welcome, Alex. How are you?
Doing well, having completed the most grueling gauntlet of genre content ever endeavored upon by two broadcasters on behalf of their fans. But we do it for you. We do it for you gladly because we love you. Mm-hmm. And you know why we love you? Because you love us. It's transactional, and just leave it at that.
It totally is. And you know what? We are heroes for the work that we're doing. People are asking in the chat, when does the football season start? Somebody says, hey, it's already started. Yeah, the NFL is currently playing. FCF, Fan Controlled Football, has not been announced yet, but what we're doing right now is Fan Controlled Fandom. This is a show all about the cape space. We are talking about content where people wear capes. People wear capes to fly around in a spaceship. People wear capes when they're flying around in space. People wear capes when they're flying around time and space, as Senor Loki does at the end of this show that we're going to talk about. But the first thing we got to do before we even begin to talk about all the content that we're going to dive into head first into the deep end, we got to play the quick hit stinger. We got to get into the quick pieces of nerd news. Are you ready for the stinger, which I will hear probably 7 times before I'm able to turn it off? Are you ready?
Let's do this.
Here it comes.
Quick hits.
I heard it right away. We're getting
better. We're getting there.
We're getting there. You know what else is getting better? The environment out here in Hollywood, because the actor strike is over.
We did it.
We still have cowards. We still have to ratify it, but stuff is already getting ready to get back at it, get back into work. People can actually talk about things that they're in. Iman Vellani went to midnight screenings last night of the Marvels just so she could start promoting it, and Brie Larson was on Instagram talk. It's people haven't been able to talk about stuff, and now they can.
People at every single strata of the entertainment industry, in terms of actors, performers, it's as if a giant bottle of self-satisfaction was just uncorked. And now everybody is talking about all of their. I haven't been able to talk about this, but here it is. It was me. I played the BTK killer in the recreation for that Lifetime movie. That was me. I did it. And by the way, it was struck work that I did during the strike. I scabbed. But
yeah, those Lifetime movies
on my reel.
Check those out. Yeah. Copy and credit provided. My personal favorite thing that I saw yesterday was a movie that I loved from over the summer, Theater Camp. Just an absolutely fantastic movie. You can watch it for free on Hulu. Ben Platt, that movie came out in July. He was never able to talk about it. And he finally yesterday posted all these pictures from the set and thank you so much for loving the movie. And it's really cool that we finally get to do that stuff. I love scab controlled scoot ball moment. Fantastic. Freddie Airmail always coming with all the puns for your face.
Freddie is ready.
Freddie is ready.
I saw the Theater Camp movie, and I tell you what, that I can't ever remember her name, but that performer, she played like the kind of the counterpart to Ben Platt's character. It turns out they've been friends in real life since they were children. She is quite something. Really enjoy her on The Bear.
You watch The Bear? Yeah, The Bear. She crushes on that show too.
Absolutely. Speaking of crushes, I'm telling you, those big eyes. My heart goes pitter pat. I'm not afraid to admit it because my wife isn't in the room. But yeah, because she will threaten physical violence.
I was gonna say, bro, you're married, not dead.
Yeah, right. That's
right.
Hey, I wake up every morning. That's what I hear from my crotch. Underneath the covers. And I go, shut up, crotch.
Shut up, crotch. Well, now that everything is back into production or going to be ramping up as early as like next week, one of the things that was very close to wrapping, which is going to get back to work, is Deadpool 3. We got a lot of Marvel news today and a lot of Marvel content. So if you're get ready for your MCU news. But to shift for everything that's been going on, they have announced some shifting in the schedules. Deadpool 3 will now, which was originally slated to open on May 3rd, will now open on July 26th. That July date was previously held by Captain America Brave New World, which is now moved to February 14th. Oh, for Valentine's Day.
Oh,
I'll tell you what, I love that, because that's, if there's not Sam Wilson's boat in that movie, we'll be heartbroken. Heyo. And then Thunderbolts has moved from December 20th, 2024 to July 25th, 2025. Blade, a movie that sounded like, as we were reading last week, was no longer happening, has shifted, moving from February 14th, 2025 to November 7th, 2025. So this is a restructuring of things now that the strike is over. However, I didn't put this in the notes because I just read this in regards to Captain America Brave New World. It's moving to 2025, not just because of the strike, but apparently it's requiring extensive reshoots after testing.
5 months of reshoots and several significant scenes cut out. It makes you wonder. Again, this big story came out last week, and I think it was time to right the ship a little bit through, if there's no kind of COVID dip and their original plan gets to kind of come to fruition, I wonder what the conversation would be like. Because I feel like a lot of this happens because we have to reconfigure due to production stoppages, and we don't want to let stuff go out to the box office because the box office is down right now or whatever. But yeah, they're gonna have to figure out how they stop Monday morning quarterbacking the whole universe.
Yeah, and there's, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know how. It's so easy to kind of pile on Sam Wilson's Captain Anthony Mackie, but I mean,
I'd love to pile on Anthony Mackie.
He is like, I mean, this is not something that I don't think is like about a bounce. I don't think he's ever like led a film. Like he is a kind of, I don't want to say lower tier film star, but I mean, he basically is. I mean, he's a good actor. He's wonderful on the Twisted Metal show on Peacock, and he's great in a bunch of indie movies, but like, this is a huge movie that he's fronting. And so they got to get it. They got to get it right, I guess. But you're right. Now that they're giving themselves some more runway with this stuff, they're like, well, yeah, let's figure it out. But yeah, 5 months, like 3 full sequences being cut is like, wow, that's a lot of film.
I seem to remember another gentleman who also didn't have experience being the leader.
Are you talking about Chris Evans? Talking about Chris Evans?
I was going to say Christopher Reeve, but yeah, no, Chris Evans. Chris Evans is like,
This is true.
So, let's
look at it now.
Although there is the case to be made that Chris Evans was more of an unknown. We got to make an impression of him through his association with Captain America that I think is actually sticking.
He was Johnny Fire Guy though, so
he was Jimmy Flames. Jimmy Flames, he says fire now, and he turns into a human fire, which is the character
Human Torch, the Human Tucci.
You know, back in the day, they made a Fantastic Four cartoon, and it was the original 3 characters and Herbie the robot, and they did the robot because they were like, if kids see the Human Torch, they're gonna want to light themselves on fire. So put the robot man in.
We can't have Fire Guy out here. We can't have Jimmy Fireman. Or
They were
like,
like,
look at me, I'm Jimmy Fireman. Dead.
The guys at Filmation were like, we're still painting with lead paint. Everybody's house is still a learning disability waiting to happen. We can't have a fireman on the television.
Do you understand how much of your house is currently flammable? Like, there's asbestos everywhere, where this paint is, everything could go up real quick. So no.
Yeah, this is you live in a toxic mire. We need to show you the robot man so you don't explode the entire neighborhood.
Fantastic. Communist Monkey wants to know what happened to FCF. Fan controlled football is coming back next year. This is part of the fan controlled television. This is content made by the fans, but also content that's still FCF. This is fan controlled fandom. We talk about capey stuff. All right. So we talked about those titles moving. I do think it's good. All those titles are moving. I think we need to give as much runway to this stuff as possible, especially stuff that hasn't even started any sort of production, like the Thunderbolts, and which I don't think they've even finished a script. So they haven't been able to work on that for like 4 or 5 months. Like, give this stuff what it needs to get done, because the narrative coming out of everything is that it's a dumpster fire. So you might as well let the dust settle from that. And there we go.
I agree. I mean, it'll come up later, but I think the cohesion that the Marvels really kind of brought to bear is going to be, I think that'll be this is only going to help that, because like I think things can get a little, Thor Love and Thunder or whatever we just got was a little nonsensical, a little like, what did they do afterwards to this? Same thing with like Ant-Man Quantumania. Marvel's felt a lot tighter.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that, but I do think like there's definitely, watching that film last night made me look at some other things that we've gotten and be like, oh yeah, man, like whatever.
It made me take a long, hard look in the mirror and really consider, like, who am I?
Of course.
What am I doing?
And I sang Who Am I from Les Miserables. Another film that was punted because of the strike was of the film that I'm a huge fan of the first 2 movies. Venom 3 was supposed to come into theaters October of 2024, but hey, don't worry, we've only pushed it to November 8th, 2024. So again, this really isn't big news, and I should probably read these articles before I put them on the show notes. But
no,
I just
why?
assumed it was going to be a big one, but it's not that big of a move.
No, Kenny, we got to keep things lively. We got to, respond in the moment to things. If we're prepared, if we're like, researching and writing things down before, who's not doing that? Our audience. And I think that they appreciate that, and the spontaneity that we frankly blast them with every week.
We blast you with spontaneity.
Dude, we just cram a whole ton of spontaneity into 45 minutes to an hour and a half.
So much. I am such a huge fan of the Venom movies. I know I finally got you. Finally got you to watch the first one, and you get it. Like, it is an enigma, those films, because everything about those movies like should not work. Like it's
right.
It's operating in such a place of like nonsense land, and like it could so easily, and it's all Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy, for whatever reason, has decided that this is what he was put on this earth to do, and he's made some of the most goofiest acting choices in those films, but it's what makes the films work. So it's, I love in the first one, he's like a reporter for a paper, and he's walking around with a little notepad and a pencil in like 2017. Like, what? And walking around talking with a new Hey, my name, I'm going with a New York accent. I'm doing an interview here. Like, it's just like, what is happening? And it's great. I love those movies so much.
I
They figured out that's what
I would just love
Go
to
ahead.
see Tom Hardy, you know, in his like kind of actor's prep, pacing around his living room, getting it, and he's like, "Hey, I'm a reporter here." Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, totally. No, oh my God. There is so much of those movies that they just, I don't know if everyone is in on it or what. My understanding is the first one, I've heard through channels that I know that the director was having a very hard time working with Tom Hardy because Tom Hardy was going to do what Tom Hardy wants to do. But then again, there are other portions of that movie, like one of my like Michelle Williams, like, you know, Oscar-winning actress, like amazing performer, is also in these movies. And
Right.
and the stuff, one of my all-time favorite moments in either film is she's dating God, I forget the actor's name always, but it's Dan from Veep, and his name in the movie is Dan. And he is telling over the phone, telling Tom Hardy that he has like a parasite attached to him. And like while like that story is being relayed to him, they're both like drinking a glass of white wine, just like just telling you about this parasite that's living in you. Hold on one second. Like, just what? Like, what a freaking choice. And that's how the movie just operates at all times. It's just like none of this is it shouldn't work, but it does.
Agreed on all counts and all fronts.
Yep.
Hey, I've lost my visual due to a technical issue on my end. Am I in frame? Can you see me?
Yeah, no, you look good. You're leaning a little bit over to like what would be like, no, other way. Go the other way. Go the other way. Other way, other way, other way. There you go. There you go. Now, perfect. No. Little back, a little more. Back. There. Well, too far. You overshot it. I think you're fine. There.
Okay.
I'm
looking right now that the my camera is crooked. So
that.
I'm gonna try and match the angle of the camera. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody out there in the world.
Beautiful. I love that we're doing it. I love that this is what's happening. Final piece.
Look, this is what I get for my full production staff. Like I get 45 people around me looking at me with scratching their heads, and I got a crooked camera. We're gonna, you know what? Performance reviews are gonna be brutal this year.
Really tough. We're already like really hard people to work for, and it's just gonna get worse. One more piece of Marvel news before we dip into something else real quick, before we get into the big double topics we're doing today. Kevin Feige, there's been this rumor going around that they're doing another MCU related project with Scarlett Johansson. This was a rumor that was going on, and Entertainment Tonight, Ash Crossan, that's a name. We was having an interview with him. He said, while speaking to Crosnan at the Las Vegas premiere of The Marvels, Feige dished with the possibility of Robert Downey Jr. and Scarlett Johansson returning to the land of capes and tights, aka the Cape Space. While Feige hesitates to say much about Downey Jr. suiting up as Iron Man, which means he probably is, he assures Crosnan that Scarlett Johansson's mystery MCU project is still happening. Feige says that he and Johansson have not discussed the chances of her Black Widow character returning to the MCU. However, he did tease that another project is in the works. We did not discuss that at the retreat. It's the truth. We're doing a project with Scarlett. I love Robert Downey Jr. He's a part of the family, but in terms of returning, we'll have to see. So he does confirm they're doing some sort of project with Scarlett Johansson. I mean, whatever. Sure, she's great. You're frozen.
She's gonna be Blade.
She's gonna be Blade. You are so frozen. It's fantastic.
Am I frozen? Am I still?
I can hear you fine.
I just was very still for a little bit.
No, you're like eyes are closed. It's really cool.
I'm gonna go ahead and look at my computer for a second.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and just check that there's enough water in it. Hold on.
Yeah, you got to make sure that it's getting enough melon power. So I'm just gonna vamp while he's doing that, y'all. You're just getting a peek behind the sausage being made. There you go. You your frame is moving again. There's nobody in it, but you're moving again.
Here I go again on my own.
Yep. Going
Brutal.
down the only
Brutal.
road you've ever known. We did it.
Brutal
Whew.
performance reviews this year. Absolutely. We're gonna paint the town red.
So do you think that Scarlett Johansson is just like, I mean, she could just be producing something. She doesn't have to necessarily be like, this is like a Black Widow movie or whatever. Who cares if it is? Sure, why not? Do it. Who cares?
Yeah, women can do what they want now. You know, they get to.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, I think it could be that. I mean, what if she's like a producer on Thunderbolts?
Yeah, that's what I was.
You're gonna have to
like
excuse me for a second. I have to jump off the broadcast for just a moment.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Jump off and jump off. So this is the internet. This is what happens when you're doing live shows, baby. Sometimes people got to hop off. R.I.P. No, I don't think he's died, Freddie Airmail. I think he is having some technical issues. I will take this moment to shout out anybody who was able to see the race. The fan-controlled racing premiered last weekend, and it was pretty cool. I'm not somebody who is a NASCAR fan in the slightest. So there was like a lot of live votes that you could vote on, a lot of which I just had absolutely. I'm actually going to turn his camera off if I can do that. I'm going to take him off, and it's just going to be me. And when he's back and ready to go, we're going to add him to the stage. There's so much that you got to vote on in with the fan-controlled racing that I just didn't have any idea what any of it was. But there was something kind of cool about being able to do it live. Oh, I see him getting back in to the background. Should we add you to the stage? Oh, I can't hear you when you're off stage. So we're just I'm gonna keep vamping. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready, my friend. So I do recommend that you get on the app. They added some stuff to the app this week. Here comes Alex.
Here I am.
I'm going to shift us back real quick so people can see you. They added some stuff to the app just this week. They now added a game. They've got a golf game and a driving game added to the app, and there's still tons of stuff you can vote on, and there's going to be stuff coming down the pipe. But the racing, the fan-controlled racing over the weekend was pretty cool.
The fan-controlled app, by the way, is very slick. The folks over there, they really know what they're about.
Yep, I love it. That was seamless. You went away, and I just vamped, and it was like we were doing this our whole lives.
It's how we always do it. It's how it always is on the big broadcast. We're professionals, man. We've been doing this for like a couple of years now.
So it's very clear too. One more thing I want to talk about before we get to the big stuff. Did you see the trailer for the Ghostbusters movie, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire?
I've not watched it.
I have watched it, and let me just give you my takes as somebody who works for the company that made this movie. It definitely looks very fun. If you liked the last one, this is going to be for you. I'll tell you what, you put Paul Rudd in a trailer and have him doing funny stuff, you can take my money. That's for sure, for dang sure.
And that's either an advertisement for a film or an actual physical, vehicle component. If you have him in a trailer and he's doing funny stuff like a U-Haul you've rented, I'll watch that in a minute. Roll up the door.
If you put Paul Rudd in a boat that's being towed behind your car, I'd pay money to watch that too. That trailer.
He'd probably do something where he found a captain's hat and would like pretend to be driving the boat down the freeway.
Yeah.
That'd be great. I love Paul Rudd.
He's one of those people. We were watching the movie last night and we saw like the trailer for The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling, and I turned to you and I said, I'd watch him eat pizza. He's one of those people too. Paul Rudd, Ryan Gosling, whatever they're doing, it's like, I'm interested.
Same here, man. I mean, Ryan Gosling has that same. These are people who are like movie stars, not to take anything away from their abilities as actors, because they're terrific actors too, but just their ability to command a certain magnetic presence on a screen is molto bene.
Well, you should watch that Ghostbusters Frozen Empire trailer. I will say,
Look, don't tell me what to do, Kenny.
okay, sure. You do get in the last movie there was like maybe you're gonna see the original people, and then you definitely did see the original Ghostbusters. This trailer make no like immediately. You see Dan Aykroyd, you see Ernie Hudson. You didn't even talk Bill Murray for a minute.
Batman.
Yeah, Batman's in it. I'm gonna pause it right now that Bill Murray is gonna die in this movie. Just that's what I'm saying, and mark my words.
Fingers crossed.
Uh, yes, based on current scenarios with the man.
I don't know. Whatever.
But it does. I've still the name of the movie is. I'm still like it just doesn't track for me. I don't under like. There's no Ghostbusters property that like Frozen Empire feels like it fits in. But I guess that's what we're doing, so that's fine.
No, ghosts. Think about it. Ghosts are a kind of an ice.
I mean, they're definitely not. There's no warm blood pumping through their veins, so they are definitely cold for sure.
They're incorporeal. They're kind of like a fog with an attitude, and that's sort of I think that's what lends itself well to this Frozen Kingdom. And I'll say it again, like I said it last week. I hope that Anna and Elsa show up.
That Idina Menzel and Kristen Bell were not in the trailer, which was very disappointing.
Well, you don't blow the reveal in the very beginning.
True.
Trailer.
Here's something I did not know. I was doing some work on the last Ghostbusters movie. Speaking of Frozen, Josh Gad is actually in Josh Gad, voice of Olaf. He is actually in Ghostbusters Afterlife. He is the voice of the ghost that they fight in the barn that they chase around town. So him going like rah, 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 that was Josh Gad. I was floored when I read that.
He also plays Slimer when Slimer dresses up as a sexy lady
in that movie.
Yeah. Remember, he disappears behind a log and then he pops out and he's dressed like a sexy like pinup girl from the 40s. But that's Josh Gad. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! You know who's definitely not Josh Gad?
Who is definitely not Josh Gad? We are not.
Us. We are real people, and this is the point of the show where the two of us give one piece of sports news because we are on the Fan-Controlled Sports and Entertainment Twitch, YouTube. I think we're on Twitter now. We might be on LinkedIn even. They're doing live streams on LinkedIn now, which send us your resume.
I keep telling them that we got to get this thing up on Angel Fire. That's when we're gonna really be cracking if we can get an Angel Fire page with a counter.
GeoCities. We can get on GeoCities real quick. That'd be great. But we need to give a one piece of sports news a piece. And Alex, as you know, the F's Fan-Controlled Racing was on the NASCAR. I believe you're going to take us into the world of open wheel racing, correct?
Open wheel racing, of course. We're approaching at top speed the inaugural Las Vegas Grand Prix. Citizens of the city are not happy with F1's encroachment on their life and their enjoyment of their town. The plexiglass walls of some of the skyways were coated with an opaque material to stop people from watching the race as it goes underneath these bridges, and citizens have torn them down. Nobody's buying tickets or hotel rooms, so the prices for each have been dramatically slashed. But a ticket for the race on Sunday, I think, will still set you back at least $1,500.
Whoa!
Everybody's saying too little, too late. This is based on what I know of sports in Las Vegas. This is par for the course. Everything for whoever's going to be there in the moment, paying money, nothing for the citizenry.
What possessed Formula One racing that is traditionally known as, super classy, high end, we're talking about all of the high end sponsors and yada, yada. What convinced them to go to America's suckhole that is Vegas to do a race?
I think they were going like, hey, 2 seasons ago, there were missiles falling about 3 miles from the racetrack and we still did it. So money runs, baby. Money runs.
Money runs. For my piece of sports news, I talked last week about how the BC Lions, and BC Lion was in the chat. The BC Lions were in the Western Conference semifinals versus the Calgary Stampeders. I mean, they were 6-12 Calgary, and of course they won. So now we have a matchup this week in the Western Conference Finals versus the the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who have been to the Grey Cup for the last 3 years in a row, and they are 14-4, arguably the best team in the CFL. So if one more win, we'll find ourselves playing in the Grey Cup. Alex, that's my news.
I love, you know what? My favorite piece of lore about the Grey Cup is that it's a Grey Cup because they couldn't afford a different color.
That is very true. I love anything that when you win it, you can drink beer out of it. There was a when the first season of fan controlled football, one of the things we could vote on was what should the champion get, and the votes. My vote every time went, and I don't know who suggested this, but it's fantastic, and it's just a big effing sword. That's
yeah, dude. Yes.
Somebody found some like Korean or Taiwanese baseball league that when you win it, you get this big old sword. And it's just like, yep. I mean, if it's not going to be that, it should be a cup to drink beer out of. But if not, a big effing sword, please.
I think every member of the winning team should get to wear that sword on their belt for the duration of the following season.
Fantastic. I mean, take notes, everybody. Take
like in
notes.
Game.
Yeah. Oh, no, exactly. Of course. And yeah. Why have a big ass sword? That sword should be championed around like it is this Lord Stanley Cup. Like, let's just put it at that level. And you can you can put it in your mouth and use it as like a shot luge. But just be very careful. Because
it's a sword.
It's a big effing sword.
You don't want to put a sword in your mouth. Like, that's probably...
Well, no, just like for lack of a better word, like just the tip. And then you use it. Hey-oh. Anyway, let's go. Who's our corporate sponsor for the week? I know you're always, you got your suit on. You probably were taking some meetings just right before we got on the broadcast here.
Brother, so, I'm zooming. I'm Microsoft teaming, all for you for the corporate underwriters.
Microsoft teaming. I'm just going to say straight up, whoever invented Microsoft Teams should probably not have a job. Anyway, keep going.
Hear that, Bill Gates?
Hey-o!
I say it's actually Godzilla is the sponsor for the new Godzilla television show that's going to be
Apple
on the
TV
streaming.
Plus,
yeah. So we want to showcase some of the new brand activations that are coming out for the new Godzilla program. So we've got a Godzilla pizza from Domino's Pizza, and they want you to take a bite out of Godzilla like your favorite character, Godzilla. And then we also have the Godzilla bike. Ramp off your dad's car, just like Godzilla. Remember, Godzilla says it's always tubular to wear a helmet. And we have Godzilla and Godzilla attorneys at law. If you've been injured in a workplace accident, we'll fight for you. So those are a couple. I'm going to be showcasing some of the new brand activations for the new Godzilla TV program.
Attorney at law? He'll fight
Godzilla
for
and Godzilla attorneys at law. If you've been injured in a workplace accident, they'll fight for you.
That's the sound that Godzilla makes when it's trying to fight for you. Oh man, it's a twofer. We got to really crank this up here. We're a half hour. We have two things to talk about. The first thing we're going to talk about is the Marvels. All right. This is a movie that we saw just last night. You can see it. It's very rare that we get to talk about something that's like brand new out. We normally have to like wait a week because of where our show usually falls. But we saw this movie last night. And here, I'm going to try to give thanks to the good people of Wikipedia, I'm going to try to give as fast of a recap of the movie as I can. This is The Marvels, is directed by Nia DaCosta, written by Nia DaCosta, Megan McDonald, and Alyssa Karasik. The collapse of the Supreme Intelligence leads to a civil war among the Kree species in their home world of Hala. The conflict renders the planet barren as it loses its air, water, and sunlight. Dar Ben, the new leader of the Kree, retrieves one half of the quantum bands, of which Kamala Khan has the other half. Dar Ben harnesses the power of the band, pairs it with her staff, named the Universal Weapon, and uses it to tear apart a jump point in space. The resulting anomaly is discovered by Sword. Meanwhile, Nick Fury, while residing at Saber Space Station, hosts peace talks between the Kree and the Skrull Empire. Fury calls in Carol Danvers and Monica Rambeau to investigate the jump point anomaly. Blah, blah, blah. They end up switching places because of the teleportation. As the three women return to their original places, Fury and Rambeau visit Khan on Earth. As Khan eagerly demonstrates her powers, she switches places with Danvers. While Danvers flies away, she switches places with Khan in midair. The group surmises that the light-based powers of Danvers, Rambeau, and Khan are linked through quantum entanglement, and that they switch places when any of them use their powers. The three join up at a Skrull refugee colony on the planet Tarmax, where talks of resettlement have dissolved. Dar-Ben rips open another jump point, which siphons the atmosphere of Tarnax into Hala to try and restore it to air. After a hasty effort to evacuate the colony, Danvers, Rambeau, and Khan form a team informally referred to by Khan as the Marvels. Danvers informs the others of the legend of the quantum bands and has been used to create the Jump Point Transportation Network. The three become entangled due to their mutual contact with its energy when Dar-Ben disrupted it, with Dar-Ben's repeated rupturing of jump points causing instability to the network and endangering the universe. Dar-Ben reaches the planet Aladana, where she opens a jump point to draw the ocean water into Hala, her final plan to usurp Earth's sun to restore that of Hala. This really just yada yada the whole fact that whole planet was people singing. The Marvels fight and subdue Dar-Ben, but she steals Khan's plan and uses both bracelets in conjunction and tear open another hole in space. The effort in doing so destroys Dar-Ben and leaves behind an opening into the multiverse. After Khan reclaims the bands, she and Danvers use their combined powers to energize Rambeau, allowing her to close, turning her into Photon, allowing her to close the hole from the other side, but leaving her stranded in the process. Danvers flies into Hala's sun and uses her power to restore it. I should have said spoiler alert, because now we're getting to the post-credit stuff.
Whoopsies.
The short-lived team-up of Danvers and Rambeau inspires Khan to seek out other heroes to form a new group, starting with Kate Bishop. In a mid-credit scene, Rambeau awakes in a parallel universe where she is greeted by an alternate version of her mother, Maria, and the mutant Hank McCoy playing, oh dear God, Kelsey Grammer. Alex. Was a mouthful. What'd you think of this film? What do you think of this film?
I had so much fun. I had so much fun. Such a blast. I think that this was, like I mentioned a little earlier, like it was so cohesive, and you can tell that at this point it was supposed to be like, oh, everybody's hyped on Captain Marvel, everybody's hyped on Miss Marvel from the TV show, and we've got Monica Rambeau from WandaVision, and we're gonna mash them all up. And this isn't Avengers Infinity War, it's not even Avengers, but it is the sort of like capitalizing on popularity team up sort of thing, like Brave and the Bold, Batman Superman sort of, or no, that was World's Finest. Brave and the Bold was usually Green Lantern and somebody or whatever, but you help increase the scope without involving so many more people, but it provides interesting sorts of places for the characters to go, and I think that they explored that. And Iman Vellani is just she's another person I would watch eat pizza. She just lights up the screen. She knows what she's doing. Absolute
crackling, absolute star. Yes.
Yeah, I had just a fun time, and I knew about the big reveal at the end before going into it, which made sitting next to Kenny as he says, "Holy S word I can't say on Twitch."
Yeah.
Out loud to the Hank McCoy reveal. I think you actually got out of your seat a little bit too. You went, holy.
I did.
Yeah.
What kind of pizza though? Freddie Ermo says, I would watch any of these people eat a gluten-free pizza because I'd want a piece too, because I can't have a regular pizza because it hurt my tummy.
I want them to be eating like something weird, like a macaroni and cheese pizza that you get under a hot lamp from like an all pizza place or something.
Yeah, I love that. I liked this movie as well. I thought this movie was a lot of fun. I think there's something to this movie because you hear all these things. Just last week we were talking about that there was like 4 weeks of reshoots, and we were, it's like, oh, it's not tracking well, and all this stuff, and it's going to be there's already things saying this is going to be the biggest box office disaster in Marvel's history, and like. I mean, monetarily, that might be the case. I mean, these things all live in, we've talked about this before, these things all live on in perpetuity. And, people are, I'm going to watch all the Marvel movies again, and you have to watch this movie. I mean, it's whatever. These things have shelf life. They don't just like go away. However, that being said, I feel like way more of this movie, like hearing all this stuff going into it, you think like, oh, but what is this going to be? And we've seen on this podcast, on this show, we have seen some garbage films. Like I think of this movie in comparison to something like Black Adam. And the reason why this movie works way more than Black Adam works, even though they have the same kind of issue, like my main kind of issue with this movie, which I don't really care because they made it so lean and mean that they weren't like dwelling on this. It's, it's an hour and 40-minute movie. I mean, it goes and goes and goes, is they basically, a lot of the like plot is just like got googod by out of someone's mouth. Like, we got to go and take the entanglement and move it towards the cork buster. And everyone's like, yep. And that's what you do. And it's like, and that kind of stuff happened in Black Adam too. They just said a bunch of stuff. Also, the power scaling in that movie was like, this movie, Monica Rambeau's powers are really kind of like, it seems like she can kind of do everything. And that's not clearly defined, but I also kind of don't care, because the reason why this works way more than Black Adam ever worked is because of the characters. It's because the characters are like actively engaged in the process and have like vulnerability and are funny and are fun to watch and are compelling. Like, there are funny moments in this movie that are super fun that any like crappy DC movie that we've watched doesn't even come close to. So it's hilarious to me that people think like, and even the reviews I've been reading, like it's definitely not like the best reviewed Marvel, but most of the reviews are like, it's fun. Like, this is a fun movie. Like, it truly is.
Right.
Like, it's a great time.
I think that it's, we're used to these bombs also being bad. Flash, bomb, bad. This is if this bombs at the box office, still a fun movie, and like still a bright spot on your rewatch. And I think the market is so different now that like the box office, okay,
yeah, this movie will do great on streaming.
It's one prong in a multi, and things are also. I keep reading that like stuff keeps getting picking back up in the movie theaters.
Yes.
Stuff on a long enough run, people go back out and go see it, and it's not necessarily. We love the splashy headline of that big dominant opening weekend, but there's stuff out there with legs and everybody wrote off the movie, the Elemental, the last Disney movie, and actually in real numbers, huge hit. Not a great opening weekend, but it real at the end of the day numbers in terms of Disney's investment in that property, total win.
Well, it's like the last Indiana Jones movie. The first opening weekend was, this is an absolute disaster. Then cut to at the end, it's made almost $400 million globally. And it's like, and what's happening right now is there is nothing else. Like, there's nothing. There's not going to be like big movies coming out. There's a couple of things like that will counter this, but this can be in theaters for a while just because of the sheer fact that there isn't so much stuff got moved off the slate because of the strike. Somebody asked if we know how you can contact the FCF shop on the site. I don't. I would contact us on the website or reach out to somebody on LinkedIn. They are pretty reactive out there. I wanted to carve out some of the.
And can I just interrupt? Good luck,
please.
Good
luck to you.
I hope you find what you're looking for.
I hope you find it too. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. You too.
Actually, if you have a specific, like, let's see if we can solve it. If you want to put your question in the chat,
you can try to ask us.
We'll just troubleshoot and we'll try to transfer you to the proper extension. If you want to just put it there in the chat.
Don't do what he says. We can't transfer you to an extension.
We're gonna just troubleshoot it here. Go ahead and give us a brief description of the issue, and we'll elevate your call to the proper department.
We can't do that. We can't elevate calls.
This is an automated phone answering service, Kenny.
I feel like I'm a real person, though.
No, but this isn't, and we're automated. Press
all right.
1.
No, but there are people in the Discord who might be able to help. That's true. Freddie Airmail says there are people in the Discord. Yeah. So if you go to the fan controlled sports entertainment Discord, there are people there who could definitely help. You did it. There we go. There are some moments in this movie I mentioned. There are some bits in this movie that, and here's like one of the biggest critiques of the first Captain Marvel movie is that it was too serious and it wasn't fun enough as reflective as to who Brie Larson is as an actor. Oh, here you go. Now we got people giving us the whole thing, Alex. Yeah, I ordered a jersey on the site 8 months ago, and for some reason it hasn't arrived yet. I even completely forgot about the order until now. Wow. Okay. Yeah. If you could find like an email, I would go on the Discord and ask people about that. There might be someone there who could help you.
And we're, on behalf of Fan Controlled Fandom and the big broadcast, we'd just like to apologize officially for, obviously this isn't how either of us wanted this jersey thing to work out.
We don't have anything to do with the distribution of jerseys. That's not anything we do.
We are
We just happen to be doing a show that's sponsored by Fan Control Sports Entertainment. We are not a customer service network.
Kenny, Marshawn Lynch sat us both down and said, boys, you're the face of the company now.
There you go. Yeah, do
and
that.
There's a lot of responsibility that comes with that, Kenny.
With great power comes great responsibility. They're bringing it back to the MCU.
That's what Jean-Luc Picard said.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
I said it earlier. There are some like funny things that work in this movie. I think one of the biggest critiques about Captain Marvel was that it was so serious and we weren't letting Brie Larson kind of be Brie Larson. The reason why you cast her in your movie is because she's really quick-witted, really funny. They take like risks in this movie that are super funny and more often than not work. Like the fact that there is a planet where people do not talk, they sing in a Marvel movie and are just full music numbers. It was incredible. I was like, this is so much fun. All the stuff with the kittens is next level.
Yeah.
That whole
stuff
thing
was great.
Absolutely next level. Like set to Barbra Streisand's rendition of Memories from Cats. Unbelievable stuff. The whole training montage set to Intergalactic where they're, learning how to interact their powers. This stuff all works, man. And it's like, it's hard for me to have somebody I've read some reviews like this is the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm like, are you dead inside? Like these things are fun and they're working. Like, I don't get you.
I think people go into it with a certain kind of desire for how the review should sound. And I think there's a certain class of fan, critic, geek, whatever out there that's like legitimately bummed they didn't have a worse time. And that's
absolutely.
That's fueling their acrimony about it. Ultimately is like, this movie didn't have the dignity to be worse.
Well, it also doesn't like, I'll say this too. It's not lost on me that this movie is getting like some people, let's just say dudes online, have a problem with this movie just because 3 women happen to be in front of it. Like it's Captain Marvel is one of the most like dissed movies online. And I know it's just purely because it's a woman in the lead, because the patriarchy is real and some men just cannot fully get their heads around women being in places of power and being capable of taking care of themselves. But that's not lost on me. I don't think that's not something that's not happening in this case.
I'm going to go a step further and say that some of these gentlemen not only don't believe that women can, they don't think they should, because it goes against a certain philosophy, personal ideology that, it isn't about a capacity or capability. It is that doing so is outside the will of, let's say, one's creator. Anyway,
let's back to the movie.
Did we get that jersey situation sorted out?
I hope so. Get
that on the way.
Did one of the biggest conceits of this movie, we talked about this last week, is like, the body switching stuff was in the first 2 trailers, and then all of the advertising coming up into this movie is that it wasn't really prevalent anymore, but it's very much a part of this movie. And for my 2 cents, I think it works pretty freaking great. How did it work for you?
Yeah, I think every piece and part of it I thought was an interesting gimmick. It harkened back again to like sort of classic comic book things. You sort of need something to facilitate these team ups and making it gimmicky and interesting, but also sort of deepening the character's lore. Now we know, okay, for sure that the powers or whatever they're accessing are linked. That's something. It had big implications too. That's something else. I think in terms of its interconnectedness to what went before within its own kind of sub franchise and the greater franchise was very, very well balanced. I thought it worked. The thing about like going back to the financial, aspect of this, if it doesn't do well, a lot of this stuff is, how do we address this with the stockholders? What's the narrative we establish with the stockholders? And it's a lot easier to say, well, this movie it came out right before the strike ended. We couldn't do our usual promotion and media cycle, and that's why the numbers are bad. But look at the product, and they'll look at the movie like, yeah, no, they're hitting there. So it's quite a different thing when you say the movie was a bomb, and then like, yeah, but it's also a piece of crap too. It's a lot easier to point back to something that's at least decent.
Yeah, and that's what these things have a shelf life, because it worked for me too. Like the gimmick, they did a good job, I thought, of really hitting it hard in the beginning, in the first act. Like we got it a lot. We had all that. There's that great, there's a great fight scene where it's in Kamala Khan's home, which, by the way, seeing her family again, wonderful. They were such a shining moment and a bright spot. And one of the things that really made that TV show really great was the kind of like really grounded family comedy that existed between her parents and her, and loved seeing them back. That was and they were great, and they were just as they were. The dad trying to sell insurance on this on the thing was fantastic. But there was this great fight scene of like Kamala Khan's at home, Captain Marvel is up on like a cruise ship, and Monica Rambeau is on a sword kind of shuttle that's going down towards the earth, and they're just cutting in between the two of them, because the three of them, because they keep using their powers. And it's this like kind of handheld stuff, shot handheld, jumping in between the spaces, in between the people. And I'm like, this is working very well. I don't just like, and like fun and like enjoyable to watch.
Once again, I'll say this, like I didn't see a lot of the wires. There was so many big sequences, sweeps of the film that I was like, that's not something you'd throw in post or do in reshoots.
Yeah, totally. Oh my gosh.
It takes way more coordination to do it, including between people's schedules. It's easy to get people, together for their, scheduled production commitments, but trying to wrangle everybody back together for post stuff is hard. They move on to different projects. So the stuff that's added in post tends to be a little tonally, visually, whatever scope. It tends to be different. And none of this stuff, the Flurkin stuff, all those gags, everything had the feel that it was there from the beginning.
Totally. If anything, I think the stuff they added might have been the stuff, just the interactive stuff on the ship. Like, frankly, there's a good, like, kind of 15 minutes almost of the three of them just kind of interacting on the ship. And if that stuff that was added later, sure. I mean, some of that stuff really, there was maybe one or two times during that where I was like, okay, this is taking a little bit too long. But at the same time, the dynamism, am I saying that right, of the three leads carries it through, because yes, Iman Vellani is really great in this movie, and Brie Larson is really great, and Teyonah Parris is really great. Everyone's really good in this movie, but you get to see with her specifically, just because she is such a new actor, to just already be at this place where like you just want to see what she's going to do next, and is able to do a lot. She is a fangirl at the beginning of this movie, and then she has to be able to tell Nick Fury what happened to Monica at the end, which I'm going to say my only I don't have a ton of criticism, but the fact that they just kind of like, well, yeah, if you go in there and you shoot me with the light, and then I take that light and I'll go plug it up, and it's like, and that's what we're doing, and everyone's on board. I was like, wait. Can you explain why that's going to work? I don't understand why that's going to work, but okay, I trust you guys because you're saying all the big words. Yeah, you're saying all the big words, and that's why. Now, for comic fans, that's how, she becomes this like white lighted kind of being, and that's how her character is in comics when she's Photon, and her eyes go white. That's how she is in the comics, and I think that's what they were saying is how she's gotten to like her full potential. Am I somewhere near the comics canon there?
I think so. Photon and Binary are both characters that I don't have a ton of familiarity with, but let's say sure.
Let's definitely say sure. Well, let's talk about, we got a whole other thing we have to talk about here. Let's talk about the end stuff. So we got two things. So if you have not seen the movie, you don't want to, we've spoiled a lot of it, but if you don't want to know anything about, I also want to say one more thing. I thought the villain in this movie, I thought it was really smart of this film, if they were going to make it lean and mean, to just fall back on the Kree Skrull stuff. That actress who played Dar-Ben, I love her. She's one of my favorite kind of British television shows that you can watch on BritBox. That I always forget the name of it, but it's a very funny show. And just go to her IMDb and look up this. I think it's called it's some work-related comedy, like 2 weeks notice. I'll look it up and I'll tell you at some point during the show.
It's called You're Right Then, Love.
That's exactly. I'm going to look it up because it's so good. But I thought it was good to just the fact that you're leaning back in on something that ties back into character, but also into familiar kind of setup. The Kree are not their villains. It made it easier to kind of move the thing forward quicker. We're not like introducing some random, villain that we haven't seen yet. You know what I mean?
Right. It builds on something that, frankly, we have familiarity with two ways. I think the first time we ever got hint of this was in Guardians, and that extended through Captain Marvel, and now here. Like, I really like the kind of cosmic aspect of the Marvel universe, and I'm excited for more of these stories to kind of go out into space. I mean, I don't know that we have much frame of reference for this, but you see that the Saber station is like pretty busy. There's like a ton of ships going through.
300-year-old person there. Yeah. And they know all the jump points, and they're very connected into the universe right now. Not Safe for Work. That's the name of the show that she's on. It is a wonderful, wonderful. She's so funny. And so I was so delightful to see her in this movie, but I thought it was like a good way to like keep things moving. Like we didn't have to we get it. Like, she's now the new ruler. She's got the same staff that Lee Pace had in Guardians. And let's just keep it pushing, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, the Kree Skrull conflict has been a hotbed of tension for the Marvel comic book universe. It's always like it's a well you can kind of drop back into. The entire original run of Secret Invasion, I think, was an offshoot of something fallout from the Kree Skrull War. And I think in the 80s, like that was a huge crossover event, the Kree Skrull War, like the Avengers and everybody got into it.
They're getting into it. Let's get into the two kind of things that this movie establishes at the end. If you don't want to know what these are, come back in a little bit. The first thing, something that's been everyone's been kind of assuming is what's happening, is the Young Avengers. So we've been getting all these young people. We have Ms. Marvel. We've got Kate Bishop. We've got America Chavez. We've got young Loki. All these characters who Wiccan. All these characters are now in, Ironheart. They're all now in all these things, and we're not saying anything. And then finally, we get this scene at the end, which Kamala Khan uses a lot of the same dialogue, thanks to Eric Voss for pointing this out. A lot of the same dialogue that Nick Fury says to Iron Man at the end of Iron Man 1. And it's almost like word for word the same dialogue. And she's getting a team together.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
Yep, basically. That's Sam Wilson's boat. So that's what we got. So we got one person who I did not think we would ever see. I was shocked to see was Haley Steinfeld back as Kate Bishop, but very happy to see her back because she was wonderful.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Yeah, that was exciting. I really liked that, aping that moment again. And it for so many reasons, because Iman Vellani gets to do it. That character gets to do it. And also, it's encouraging to me that they're going to have this whole second generation. And, you've mentioned that some of the big crossover events coming up are going to need every team. And I'm excited to see what the Young Avengers do to support, Earth or our reality and whatever the coming conflict is.
Eric Voss posited that if everyone is going to Battle World to fight, whether it's Kang or Doctor Doom, if everyone's going to Battle World, somebody has to stay behind to protect the Earth. So he was positing that the Young Avengers would be who stays behind to protect Earth. So you keep them to stay behind, which I think is I would like to watch that. I would like to watch it. That'd be great. Because Haley Steinfeld and Iman Vellani is enough, but get me some other people in there. Why not? I'm here for it. Oh, she specifically mentions, did you know Ant-Man has a daughter?
Yeah.
So that's Stature, which So there's three. We got three people that are for sure going to be in this thing. So that's exciting. And then the one where I went, holy shit, out loud, pardon my French, was Monica Rambeau wakes up and she's like, Mom, and it's the same actress. I've always forget her name. She's wonderful. She was in The Woman King, was in the Matilda. She's there and she's like, what are you talking about? And then cut to Kelsey Grammer as Beast. I was like, wow. I mean, like,
and a Beast who is like fully realized, not bad hair, makeup Beast. This is like the real version of the one from the cartoon. Like,
yeah, X-Men
fully realized.
97, X-Men 97 Beast.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And the only thing that I hated about it was that it was Kelsey Grammer, because Kelsey Grammer sucks. God. He sucks. He's a sucky person. And but other than that, that was genuinely shocking. And then he mentions that, oh, Charles has something he needs to do. We are definitely in the X, what is it? Not Professor X's, we're in their like fort.
The X Mansion.
The X Mansion, thank you. That's where we are. We are definitely in the like Fox X-Men universe.
Right.
And then Monica's mom, who's not her mom, is revealed to be what's the name? Divinity? No.
Binary.
Divinity. She's Jesus.
She's that kind of that dessert nobody likes. The
Ambrosia.
Yes, thank you. Her presence there also infers that there are other non-mutant superheroes around in this X2 universe. Which
is she not a mutant?
I don't think Binary is a mutant.
Okay.
In the comic books, Binary is an avatar of Carol Danvers, like basically an personified energy form of herself. So yeah, no mutant to speak of, and I think with these X-Men movies, they never explicitly said, well, we're the only people with powers around. You just you just don't know that Captain America isn't there, I guess.
Well, that's what we don't know. But I mean, obviously, I think we could probably be seeing Monica Rambeau probably in Deadpool 3. So that's probably what's going to happen next. BC Lion says hello. Hello, BC Lion. We love you.
Hey, BC Lions. What's going on?
Hey.
DC for a long time had this, and actually Marvel too, these sort of alternate reality runs of comics that are, Marvel had the Ultimate line of comics where they kind of, hey, here's a retelling of the Spider-Man, the X-Men, Punisher origin stories from like a more modern take that became really super popular. Miles Morales comes out of the Ultimate Universe. And before that, even DC had their, to explain why it is that Superman has been in publication since the 30s, but he's still like, 28 years old in 1984. They just said, well, there's an original, the guy who was around for World War II, that's actually on another Earth. That's Earth 2, where all of the heroes are alternate versions of the ones you're reading in main continuity. They are different people in some cases, different costumes, most cases. But, there were popular runs of comics through the 70s and 80s that featured these alternate realities that, you get to tell different kinds of stories. These are different characters with different points of view. And I like the idea that this sets up that maybe there's an alternate reality X universe that also has its own slate of the MCU characters. Who's playing Captain America in the X2 universe?
I don't know. Ryan Gosling.
Thank you. Yes, a Canadian.
Do it, you cowards. Real quick, we still gotta talk about Loki, bro, man. Real quick, is this Star Trek or Star Wars?
This is, Star Wars.
Yeah, it's definitely Star Wars. I think they're having too much fun for this to be Star Trek. The double Dutch scene alone is enough. Silly fun. Big winner for you from Marvels. Yeah, I think that's the answer for sure.
To getting that role in a movie that big and doing what she did is such an enormous ask. And she was, I don't think she's the kind of person that goes, everybody step back and watch this, but she definitely has the skill level to be able to do that. She absolutely top tier movie star work.
Yeah, she's equal parts like gracious, but also more than up to the challenge that this film is having her do. And it was just great. Like, just a wonderful performance. Yeah, she's the big winner. Big Loser. I mean, this is like, holy crap. We were literally in Louisiana. At one point, the movie says Louisiana because they go to Monica Rambeau's house. It looks like Carol is moving in, going to stay on Earth. And we're right there. We are right there. There's no reason why that house couldn't have been by an old, like, sidebar of the river, and then, doot doot, hey Carol,
Yeah.
hey Sam. Come on.
The thing is, we see Louisiana pop up on the screen, and Kenny and I did that thing where we without turning from the screen with our heads, we turned our torsos toward each other and embraced, because we thought,
because we thought it was happening. The day one boat stand kings, you can see on the bottom, the day one boat stand kings.
And what do they cut to? That she has a plane.
Ugh.
Come on, like, it's on purpose. It's on purpose. And frankly, I think it's, what, we got to start saying we don't want to see the fishing boat. I don't. I'm glad. I'm glad we didn't see the fishing boat. Thank you, Kevin, for not. That's what I want, is to not see it now.
Well, we're definitely not going to see it. We're not going to see in this next thing we're talking about. We're doing it. We are 1 hour in. We're going to talk about the Loki finale because we had it. This is what's happening. I'm going to give you the quick recap. Here we go. Episode number 6, season 2, Glorious Purpose, written by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, directed by Eric Martin. Loki time slips to the moment before the temporal loom's explosion. Despite his attempts, the loom always fails as it cannot accommodate the infinite branches. Loki slips to the moment before Sylvie kills He Who Remains, which I predicted, who tells Loki that the loom is a failsafe. Overloading it protects the sacred timeline by deleting the branches along with the TVA. He Who Remains suggests Loki kill Sylvie to save the loom, which Loki rejects. After speaking with Mobius and Sylvie at different moments in time, Loki replaces Timely in approaching the loom. Loki destroys the loom, magically revives the dying timelines, and rearranges them into a tree-like structure, committing himself to oversee the branches in solitude at the end of time. The TVA accepts the growing branches and now tracks He Who Remains variants, with Mobius reporting one of them has been stopped at Earth 616's adjacent realm. That's that's Quantumania. B-15 becomes one of the TVA's leaders. Ouroboros reactivates a now friendly Miss Minutes and writes a new TVA guidebook with Timely as co-author. That was not confirmed. In 1863, Timely does not receive the TVA guidebook. Renslayer awakens in the void and encounters Eliath. Mobius retires from the TVA. He and Sylvie observe Dawn and Dawn's children. Alex, what'd you think of the final episode?
What a humdinger. Loved it. Closed the book on this son of a gun. The ultimate big time character development thing. It plants seeds for what's to come. It's grounded in what it was. 10 out of 10. Way to go, Kevin.
Yeah, I thought this was a big home run. I mean, this was my only critique about this was that, we had gotten such fun characters and we didn't get to spend as much time with them because we were so Loki focused, but the name of the show is Loki, so I should just get over that.
But you really should, Kenny.
I know.
You wouldn't believe the amount of text messages I got from this guy at like 3 o'clock in the morning, just railing against it. And then he kind of 6 o'clock, he kind of wound down, but then back 7:30, back at it again.
Right at it. Right back at it. I take hour and a half naps. I'm like Da Vinci.
And you love pizza like Da Vinci too.
Hey, mamma mia. It's me, Mario. No, I thought this was just so like, what an ending. It's not what I thought we were going to. I did think we were going to get to some place where he was going to have to go back and try to stop Sylvie from killing her. I think I even mentioned on last week's episode that we would have some sort of scenario like with the What If episode of what Doctor Strange can't. There's like a moment you can't change, like it's inevitable, and that's basically what we got. And I found this just to be, even though it was like almost an hour long, I found it to be just incredibly compelling. And the fact that we are now, it like, I don't know, it worked. It just really worked for me. I could see people not liking it because people don't like things, but overall, I feel like This
I understand that people are capable of having different opinions from mine.
Well, I'm already hearing some of my people who I listen to. I could already hear what their criticisms will be. But for my 2 cents, I thought this really, like, in terms of what we got, I thought this worked. I thought this worked really well. I thought this as a plot line worked. It took my head a little bit of time to figure it out. Like when calling the loom a failsafe took me a bit of time to kind of like get my brain around.
Right.
Which is like the failsafe is that it's supposed to destroy itself. And that's the failsafe. So if you kill me, then the stuff, everything gets wiped out. So knowing that then Loki is going to eventually, like, he starts him down the time slipping, knowing that he is eventually going to figure out how to time slip, how to pause time. And then eventually it's all going to come down to one question, which is, can you kill yourself to save, to maintain, to stop everyone from dying, or will you take over and give everybody a chance to defend themselves? And that's really like,
I believe it's called the monorail problem in philosophy
exactly.
and ethics. It's the
but it's really
monorail
like what we've talked about this show. Like in one is a truly villainous route. He has to murder someone and then murder millions of people to maintain this sacred timeline because he can't save everyone. Or the hero's route, which is to oversee, like do whatever he can to give, like sacrifice himself so that everybody else has a chance to live. And that's basically what happened at the end of the show. And that's been this whole time what this show is. Did that permeate through every episode of the show? No, not really, but that's what this show was. And I think it's it. I don't think we get more of this.
I agree. I mean, I think they've said that, I read a quote that season 3 is probably not happening.
I don't know how you do it. Like especially because I feel like where we are now, and I do think obviously Loki is going to play some sort of factor into the Kang Dynasty if they still do that movie or any of these movies, because he's now literally holding the strings to the multiverse. So, that's what's happening.
We have a cosmic entity as well now beyond, we've had a handful of them. The Collector, sort of, Thanos, definitely. And then
who did we get at the end of Thor: Love and Thunder?
I think that's the Beyonder. I'm not sure, but this is a far more like human one that we're more in touch with as a character. And the idea that he's holding on to these, I just kept thinking he's holding on to these strands of time and imbuing them with his green, his good green goo, and like
his green guga.
I'm like, is this going to be, will this eventually impact what we see in these timelines that, they've been Lokified, not literally, but like, oh, maybe there's a little bit of extra whatever in these timelines because Loki's
a little bit of mischief, if you will. A little bit of mischief.
Perhaps I shall.
That was a thought that did occur to me. That was like, well, but if you had to, like, you could make the argument in terms of like the hero's journey that this version of Loki is somebody who is capable of doing this. Like Loki, who was just, however long the length of time, and obviously it's been centuries. They said it took him centuries to learn quantum mechanics, whatever he was learning in this. So hundreds of years. But, when we first saw him, he was, a maniac. And now he is somebody who is fully selfless, fully like working to specifically save as many people as possible. That person and that full change of his character is now somebody we can give this responsibility to, because if this was when the show started, I want to sit on my throne, which I love that they flash back to that moment because he's going to literally sit on that throne. Like that person sitting on the throne would have been mayhem and chaos in holding on to those things. But that he's no longer that person because he stared across from somebody. That's who remains. That's why I feel like Loki was chosen, because it's like a mirror, even though they don't, they're different people, quote unquote. They're both people with the same capabilities.
Yes. I think that it puts in my mind the interesting questions posed by movies like Groundhog's Day. Like,
Yeah.
how long was he in these places? Like, how long does it take until you walk into a room and you know everything everybody's going to say and every bat of an eyelash? And I think it asks an interesting question. And I think it also sort of gives you the reason why this Loki has changed so much, is that he's been living for a very, very long time.
Yeah. Lived experience. I mean, I love the Groundhog Day-ness, the conceits in this. When he has that one conversation and he pauses when He Who Remains pauses time, and then later on that same conversation he does it, and then it's like, who says this is the first time we've had this conversation? That was like cool as hell. I like that stuff. I think that's such an interesting, in terms of the structure of this episode, like, we get it into, as much as we talk about the Marvels too, you get it in the beginning to kind of establish it, and then you use it sporadically to your advantage when it plays into plot or character. And that's what both these things that we're talking about did, but very, very well in this final episode of Loki, for sure.
Right. Another example too of the show, like, really, really, really delivering on its premise and really delivering on everything it promises. This is another factor of time travel we haven't seen on this, but playing with it in the way that they did was both, it facilitated some of the humor that kind of punctuates the show and a lot of the MCU, but it also, like, it was just real. It was a journey we went on with the character.
Yep. Everything with this show,
this episode is just really great.
It's good, and we also got, like, I think for the whole, I hate this thing, man. I can't figure out a way to get this gracefully out of frame and have you still hear me, but I feel like I'm almost at this point with it, and that's not cool. You got to be able to see these pearly whites with my tea stains on it. Anyway, I really hope that Mobius, like, we don't know where he's going to be. We know that he wanted to see the world that he's protecting, but just, I want to see him back. Owen Wilson is just absolutely the best in this role, and I would love to see him. I know it's probably not the last we're going to see, but I mean, it sure might have been. Who knows? You're muted.
I'm just so bored. Sorry.
Geez. Well, BC Lions has a wee shout out to the BC Lions. I already talked about this already, baby. We're going to get that win over the Blue Bombers, and we're going to go to the Grey Cup. Let's go. Anyway,
we're all going to get there. We're all going to get the fidget spinners that are promised to the winner of the cup.
Sure.
Forgot what I was going to say, but I loved it.
It's fine.
I had a good time. Kenny, I had a good time watching it when I did.
Yeah. And I think, we've lauded the production value of this show. All of that was on display. One thing we've talked about on this show is, of course, Jonathan Majors. And one of the things that came out of widget spinners for the Grey Cup. Oh, Santa. Let's go. I want them widget spinners for this great Santa ones. That article we talked about last week in Variety had mentioned that, like, oh, well, it's a big problem with Jonathan Majors moving forward after you see the Loki finale. And, like, yes, the Loki finale establishes that there are, the timelines are all stable. And in every one of those timelines, there's a Kang. And we got it. That's fine. There is literally no reason why it still has to be Jonathan Majors still. Like, you could absolutely recast that role and just move forward. Like, and you know what? Frankly, you should. I don't feel like he's merited anything to stick around. So just recast him and it's fine and move forward. And it's there, and it exists even in the MCU, because there's a little movie called Spider-Man No Way Home, and all those Peter Parkers didn't all look like Tom Holland. We got an Andrew Garfield and we got a Tobey Maguire, and guess what? They were both Peter Parker. So done. Do it.
It did take me about 45 minutes, because the faces were different, to realize those were all Spider-Mans. I was like, who are these other guys? What are you trying to tell me here? What is this now?
But you have that face thing too, where you can't distinguish people's faces, though, too. We should let the audience know that first before you say that.
Yeah, I'm a stupid idiot. That's what it is.
Hey, your words, not mine, friend.
Yeah, and
Okay?
by the way, I'm not saying that people with facial blindness are stupid idiots. I'm saying that my facial blindness is caused by my being a stupid idiot.
No, yeah, no, that's what, absolutely. No, that's
Yeah.
that was the point. Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, yeah, they could recast this like tomorrow. It's not a big deal. This is no big deal.
What if they recast it and they put Terrence Howard in?
We need to have a call with somebody and be like, this was not the move. You need to do a little bit more research.
No, wait. You really want to blow some minds? That's what Kevin Feige sounds like.
Edward Furlong.
Hey, everybody, put Edward Furlong in there. And then they'll go like, did you mean Edward Norton? We're like, no, baby. That's what Kevin Feige sounds like.
I did mean Edward Norton. That's what I meant. I meant Edward Norton. Because Edward Norton keeps calling me every time, being like, hey, let me come back. And they're like, no, you missed your chance, dog. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to bring you back to replace Jonathan Majors.
I can see the key art right now. The Kang Dynasty. It's got Edward Furlong's face really big. And the first critic quote underneath says, did you mean Edward Norton? Hollywood Reporter.
And then Kevin Feige's like, behind the scenes is like, I definitely did. But guys, it's too late. I can't go back on this.
There's egg on my face, baby.
Feige don't do egg. Feige don't do egg on his face.
Feige's non-dairy. That's not a dairy food. You just buy it. You can buy it at a dairy. I know the difference. That's
the number of times I have a daughter who is lactose intolerant. The number of times we've been at restaurants and asked if something doesn't have dairy, and they were like, well, it has eggs. We have to be like, eggs are not dairy. Okay, eggs are eggs. Like milk is dairy.
Yeah, but they still come out of cows, baby. They still come out of cows.
Is there milk or is there butter? If there's not, then it's fine, because eggs are not dairy. But the number of times, and I'm sure anybody who's vegan or lactose intolerant knows what I'm talking about. It's pretty hysterical. The number of times we're like, oh, well, it does have eggs. We're like, well, that's fine, because eggs do not come from cows.
I like to make vegan food and then tell my vegan guests that it's fully plant-based. There's no animals in it, just a whole mess of bugs. And I've never done that, but it'd be funny if I did.
That's the name of your band, though. A whole mess of bugs.
A whole mess of bugs.
There was one point in this series, in this finale, where Loki does say, oh, so this was all just a waste of time. And I was kind of like, I don't know if you should say that out loud, because what if the critic guy was like, you know what? You're right. Thanks for saying it. This was a waste of time. If this means none of this means anything, and you're just going to go like that, because that's where it was going. It was going to this point, like, no matter what you do, you can't stop this. Like, there was this point where I was like, oh boy, here we go. You just said the quiet part out loud.
I went to a 30,000 foot view of my own life, and I thought he was talking about how much time I've devoted to all of this nerd booga. I could have been learning to whittle.
You could have been so far into your 10,000 hours into whittling. You could have whittled that whole, like, that little stick thing behind you.
I could have whittled this microphone.
I know, but what's that microphone made out of? Cedar.
Balsa. Oh. Cedar. Way better whittling wood. See, that's how bad I am at whittling, because I watched the Loki thing too much. This was, I think we're all in agreement. Overall, what is your take on this show? I really liked it. The sort of self-contained nature of it from season 1 into season 2, the idea that they kind of are shutting down after this. We're not looking for Loki to perpetuate himself through 10 seasons of programming. I'm into that. And again, I think this and Marvel's are a good example of telling stories that have huge implications to the worlds of your characters, to the worlds of like their part of the larger franchise, without it having to like reconnect back out that much. Loki still felt like it was important. And it was just a fun watch. Yeah, I think they really, really nailed it. And my hope is that more of the TV offering is of this quality, frankly.
Agreed. Yeah, I think this was overall, this show had things that it was trying to do, and it did those things. It had a look that it was trying to do. And that's the stuff, like we talked about this last night as we were leaving the movie. The stuff that has really worked over the past like years or two is the stuff that has just been, knows what it's doing and leans into it instead of trying to make it fit into something. Like, Guardians Volume 3, Loki, the Marvels. These are things that were like, this is what we're doing, and that's what we're doing, period. And we mentioned last night we were watching the Marvels, and Samuel L. Jackson is great in this movie. He's super funny, like so different than he was in Secret Invasion. And we've talked about a lot on this about how, Owen Wilson has been used in Loki as, you're using Owen Wilson, so use what you have. And not that Samuel L. Jackson can't do like political intrigue and stuff. He totally can. But watching him, the way you're using him in the Marvels is like using him at its peak. Like, make him say funny stuff. Like when, there's that whole scene, you and I both were dying laughing, when Kamala Khan's falling to the earth, and it's like, you got it, Monica, you better learn how to fly. She's like, what? So she's like, kind of starts flying, and then they're trying to figure out some way to get down to they're falling to the earth, and eventually Kamala makes like a ball around them, and it's like, I hope this works. But because she's used her power, she's switched with Carol, and then Carol falls to the ground, and then total dryly, Samuel Jackson just goes like, oh, it's just Carol.
Yeah. Oh, good, it's Carol.
Yeah, okay, it's Carol. That's fine. And then it's like, and then cut away, and I was like, great, like
great
that's
take.
Great.
Yeah,
and that's something that Loki has been doing, like from the jump. Like, it just knows who it is, it knows what it's doing. It's gonna work or it doesn't, and that's fine. But they are definitely like they're not hemming and hawing about it. They're not like trying to be something. They are something. And I think that's something that I do, like you said, I hope continues moving forward. We didn't mention this at all, which I've completely forgot, is the trailer for Echo. Did you see the Echo trailer?
No.
Oh, it looks very good. And they came out and said that Echo is like fully existing, like it's in the MCU, but it's not going to have any ties to anything. And it's just going to be existing on its own. And it's going to have some ties because Echo is specifically a character from Hawkeye, but it's not going to, like, it is just, that's it. It's not going to have any sort of like greater implications. It's just going to exist as is. And I think that that's, pretty great moving forward, because that's how you keep it. And then if you so happen to, at the end of your show, have your lead character holding all of time, great. But you earned that from the character work that you did from 2 seasons, You
can kind of say the same thing, I think, about Moon Knight.
Sure,
there's no
absolutely.
bleed over there. A couple of other things too, but I like that they're using this as a like a kind of a branding marketing pitch.
Oh, 100%. I was going to say, the difference between Moon Knight and, because Moon Knight did the thing that Secret Invasion did with the finale, which was like big giant Gugas fighting, which we didn't. Loki has not done either time, either finale. We did not get. We got some Guga. We got some big time Guga in this. He's walking out on the plane, and there's big giant, timey wimey stuff. Timelines and branches all over the place. But we did not get 2 cartoon people fighting in the sky, which seems to happen in a lot of these shows. And it happened in Moon Knight. Giant, Egyptian gods fighting in the middle of the streets of Egypt. Like that was some Guga, but we didn't get this here, which I feel like is something that take that blueprint too, that we don't always have to have, higher, further, faster for your TV content, because it makes it easier to tell stories if you don't like lean in on hardcore effects.
But what you can do is, resolve your movie in post-production by just having an animated fight sequence.
Yeah, and that's even in all of them. Even in something as great as Black Panther, that movie ends with 2 cartoon Black Panthers fighting in a train shaft. It's like, okay, sure. Like none of this scene is real. Everything is fully animated.
This might as well be Shrek.
It might as well be Shrek. But you know what? It's not Shrek. Is this Star Trek or Star Wars?
You know what? This is Star Trek, and it really. Actually, I'll go. This might edge into 2001, which is something that's that exists above both. It's really
I can see that. It is. I'm still saying Star Trek just because I do think there is a Star Trek episode that exists, and hire me to write on one of your shows and I'll write it. That's like a Groundhog Day type of thing. I feel like that's something that would exist in a Star Trek somewhere if it hasn't happened already.
Probably. Sorry, the dogs are wandering around and bothering me. My dog Lupo is bothering me.
It's not. I know we're going longer than normal, but it's not your time yet. Okay, your time is coming very soon. If you keep bugging us, it's going to take longer to get to your portion of the show.
He just looked at the TV at the TV very reproachfully at you. It's true. Well, I can't argue with what the man said, dude.
Right. Who's the big winner of the Loki finale?
I think it's Tom Hiddleston. I think he's done such a good job from moment one. At every moment he's understood exactly what he needed to do. And he clearly has an affinity for this character. He loves it. He loves what it means to fans. He loves the fans love it. And I think him getting to sort of take this character all the way to this point has got to be very satisfying as like a creative person, a fan of the character, an actor who's worried about their career. Yeah, I think Tom Hiddleston is a big winner. I really, really, really just like him.
Yeah, I think that's a good call too. I thought he just, to be able to take this character to full like redemptive arcs, not once, but twice. And the number of times that man in this episode of this season of television went like whipping his head back as I lost my headphones.
Proving,
you know what I mean? The number of times
proving the difficulty
and like,
proving the difficulty of this kind of maneuver in your recreation. The considerations that a performer has to make.
Yeah, the number of times he whipped his hair back, checked his nails. Baby, how you feeling? Feeling good as hell. Did his hair toss? Say,
you might think this is Willow Smith the way he's tossing his hair.
He whips her hair back and forth. No, but like you're right. Like that it's this show, and this was the reminder that I think these last two episodes that this is Loki's show. I know, like they were almost like apologetic, like we created some really great characters that you love. I'm sorry, but we got to follow this guy because this show's called Loki. We know you love, Kihei Kwan, who is wonderful. We know you love Owen Wilson. We know you love B-15.
Eugene Cordero.
We know you love Eugene Cordero. You love all these people. I want to give Gugu. I love her. I want to give shout outs to Wunmi Musaku. She's B-15. She's great. She's also was great in the show that she was in with Jonathan Majors on HBO. Just Tom Hiddleston is clearly the big winner. Big Loser. We just did this. I mean, where he's literally, I'm going to put up again. He's literally holding all of time in his hands. There, you couldn't put just like a toot toot in one of those.
I'm the Big Loser because I keep ringing this bell for a boat that's never going to pull into the port.
Well, we got one more opportunity here. If it, like I said, if it don't show up in Captain America 4, then I don't know what you just did reshoots for. Like, I mean,
I'm going to email Kevin.
Yeah, can you get him real quick?
Kevin@marvel.com. Dear
Perfect
ass.
Got it. Can we get another? Yeah, thank you. Can we get another ad read for the Godzilla? We got some more branded content for the new Godzilla TV show.
Yeah, some of the brand activations and promotional materials you can get out there to promote the new Godzilla TV show that's coming to the internet. Godzilla is now on Cameo. You can pay $50 so Godzilla can tell your dad happy retirement. And you got the Little Giant Godzilla weed and hedge trimmers from Yamaha. It's a 45 horsepower weed and hedge trimmer that makes it look like the old fire lizard himself is eating your weeds and hedges. And we also have the Godzilla Rubble Meatball Footlong from Subway. It's slate gray to look like the destruction left by Godzilla himself. Warning, your poops are supposed to look like that after.
Yes. Well done. I'm very happy about that. You know what time it is now?
Let's do it.
Here it comes.
It started over again. Hey, we go.
I got it. I'm on top of it this time. I'm on top of it this time. All right, it's game time. Oh, I like BC Lions wants a dance off. One day when we have like proper cameras, we'll do a full dance off in studio. All right, so I have the game this week. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Gotta wait for my Google Docs to load because I have had this tab open for too long and it like goes into sleep mode. Here we go. As we all know, English. Oh, geez, something went wrong while displaying this web page. I got to reload it all of a sudden.
Oh boy,
Thanks,
Google.
Thanks, Google. Here we go.
Larry.
As Larry Google, as we all know, English is a very silly language. COMB, comb, TOMB, tome? No, it's tomb. What? We spell the word phone with a PH. Another indicator of how dumb our language is when stuff from other beautiful languages get translated into English. Listen to all of the English versions of all the songs from Coco. They're silly. So we're going to play a game called Lost in Translation. The game is simple. As I mentioned last week, I have gone all in on anime on Crunchyroll, and many of these shows get brutalized when brought into our clunky language. So I'm going to read a name for an anime show, and you have to tell me if the show is real or not. Okay, you ready?
I've lost my light, but yes, let's do it.
Oh, let me see. Let me come back to you. You look fine, man.
No, let's do it.
You look great. All right, number 1. I'm giving the disgraced noble lady I rescued a crash course in naughtiness. Is this a show?
That's a show.
It is a show. Ready for number 2?
Yes.
Reborn as a vending machine, I now wander the dungeon. Is this an animated show on Crunchyroll?
Real show. I've seen it.
Yep, it's a real show. That's right. Ready for number 3?
Let's do it.
You know you're old when you see an attractive young woman and you wonder what her mom looks like. Is that a TV show? Once again, it's you know you're old when you see an attractive young woman and you wonder what her mom looks like.
I'm gonna say that's not a show.
It's not a show, no.
It sounds like a Bill Engvall routine.
Are you ready for the next one?
Let's do it.
That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Is that an anime?
Yes, and I've seen it.
Yes, it is. You want the ready for the next one?
Yes.
Buddha-Reba, the story of a man turned into a pig. Is that an anime?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Ready for the next one?
Let's do it. I
can't laugh before the joke. All right. Welch's Fruit Snacks advertises itself with the proud slogan, fruit is our first ingredient. I should effing hope so. Is that a show or not?
Yeah, I think that's the guy who did Dragon Ball did that one.
No, it's not. It's not a show.
No?
Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
The next one?
Let's do it.
World End. What do you do at the end of the world? Are you busy? Will you save us? Is that an anime?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Ready for the next one?
Yes.
I just went to my doctor for a physical and she did all of the testing, blood, urine, etc. I get the results back and everything was fine. But do you know what the doctor calls test results that are fine? Unremarkable. Did your blood work get the results back? Did your blood work got the results back? And you know what? You, Kenny Stevenson, are unremarkable. Have a nice day. Bye. What? Why not just say everything looks good? Why unremarkable? Is it so when something is wrong and you have to tell me, it's easier for you to say, hey, Kenny, I got your test results back and something remarkable has happened. Oh my God, really? Do I have superpowers? Am I reverse aging? Does my blood just kick ass? No, you have high cholesterol. Have a good day. Bye. See, it makes it easier to deliver bad news. Is that an anime show?
Yeah, that's from the Akira guy, right?
Yeah, that is absolutely. Yeah, that's
Hell yeah, dude.
Toei Animation. All right, that was Lost in Translation.
That's my favorite game.
I loved that one. That was a favorite one. I do want to check out World End. What do you do at the end of the world? Are you busy? Will you save us? This is a part of the show, Hoopla. We are big into Hoopla. It is you give her your library card, and then you can check out library. You can check out comics, digital comics. We give recommendations. Alex, what's your recommendation from Hoopla this week?
Check out any of the collected trade paperback editions of Crisis on Multiple Earths from
Ooh.
fun little collected editions that collect various Justice League, Justice Society team ups that they used to do annually in DC Comics. They're real fun, and they're really the color treatments that they've done on these things. Like the pages really pop. It looks great.
Love it. I'm going to go again this week and not recommend something from Hoopla.
You dirty, rotten bastard.
There is another app called Libby. It's the same deal. You can put in, but they have a lot more audiobooks. Hoopla is pretty sparse on the audiobooks. I'm currently listening to an audiobook. It's a Star Wars canon book called Bloodline. Highly recommend it. It takes place 20 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, and it is about Senator Leia Organa, who is now potentially being put forth to be essentially they're calling it like the first senator, aka like a president of the Galactic Senate. And it's like political intrigue. It's pretty great. I highly recommend checking this audiobook, or check the book out and read it. But if you don't want to read and you want to listen to a book, that's how you should do it. Alex, do we have one more read from the folks about the upcoming Godzilla?
Yeah,
the new Godzilla tie-ins.
Godzilla internet TV series coming to you. Some brand activations. We have the Godzilla brand fire breathing kit.
Okay.
Warning, don't. We have Godzilla brand edible shorts. Now you can say, "Eat my shorts, Dad," like Godzilla. And finally, we've got Godzilla brand condoms. Just say to unwanted pregnancies.
I love me some old school Godzilla. Like, I love that the Japanese studio that created Godzilla still makes them. Like, they still make them, and it's still just a guy in a suit walking around on a set. It's fantastic. I'm really glad that that's still a thing. I mean,
it's still the same guy, which is why Godzilla has a pronounced limp and seems to forget what he's destroying.
And it's constantly referencing his knees. Just like
Godzilla's constantly just resting his eyes.
Every couple steps he has to stop and put his hand up and like doubled over in breath. Like, hold on, like, wait 1 second. Put one finger up. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. Just give me 1 second.
He does the fire breath, and there's blood in it. He has to go to urgent care.
Oh no! Look, we got the set medic over here. All right, so we had 2 pieces of content. You have 2 dogs? What did your dogs think about the Marvels and/or Loki?
Well, Millie genuinely looked at me and she said, I prefer Loki, but only because it means you don't have to leave to go watch your Marvel things. So I thought that was really sweet that she appreciated the fact that Loki kept me home, whereas I had to leave the house to see Marvels.
Yeah, that's really great. My dog could not give any F's about this at all. She did not watch Loki with me. You know what? I'll take it back. When I went to see the Marvels, she was out. She did not come in. She did not meet me at the door when I came home. When I was watching Loki this morning on my big desktop computer that I have from working from home, she was laying right next to me. So there was some level of interest there. So that was interesting.
We'll get her one of these days.
We'll get her into one of these days. Alex, we did it. That was a jammer. Whew. We did two. I have not a clue what we're going to talk about next week. Not a clue. Where Loki is done. We already talked about the Marvels. I don't know. We'll figure something out to talk about.
I am thinking I've actually got a rough outline for part 1 of my investigation into what happened to that guy's jersey. So we're going to premiere that next week. As they say in the trade, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I don't care who's at the top.
I love that. I don't know how I'm involved in that, but I'll just be here for it. The folks can find you at Duke Midnight above, correct?
Yeah, anywhere that major books are sold, you can find me at Duke Midnight, at Crown Books.
At Crown Books, yeah.
Bookstar, B. Dalton.
Suncoast Motion Picture Company.
FYE.
Sam Goody Music.
The Warehouse.
The Warehouse. Virgin Megastores. Any major retailer that sells JCPenney, Sears, all of them.
Oh, I'm definitely at Sears. I live in a tent there.
You can find me, Kenny G. Stevenson, on TikTok and Twitch, Kenny G. Donut King. I'm going to switch that over at some point. Last week, I talked about how I did an improv show at the Impro Theater last week called Process, Friday, Saturday. That show is still going up again Friday and Saturday. I will not be in it. There's a big cast, and we did 2 shows apiece. I highly recommend going and checking it out. It's an absolutely hilarious show if you're in LA. It's at the Impro Theater, Friday night, Saturday night at 9:30. It's an improvised play. It's the process of making a play. We get 7 fake titles of plays. We do one of them, and then we take you through the entire process. We do improvised auditions. We do an improvised table read, complete with like scripts in our hands that don't have any words in them. We do improvised, like 2 months into the rehearsal, we improvise the rehearsal process, and then 5-minute intermission, an actual intermission. You come back, and then we actually perform the final act of the play. I did it twice last week. It was some of the most fun I've ever had performing on stage, and go check it out. It is absolutely hilarious show. And then I will be in another show at the Impro Theater called Over There, the Friday, December 1st, Friday, December 8th. That is an improvised World War II movie. So, stuff is happening.
And this is all, by the way, he's taking great personal risk to do this because it's all not supposed to happen during the strike. So Kenny is really, really bringing it to you this time.
Strike's over though, man. Strike's over.
I don't think so. Not till Fran calls
technically,
me.
not till Fran. Fran has to call all 140,000 members of the union and say, "Thanks
Back to work."
And on that note, we got to get out of here on that. Back to work. I got to play the video. Hold on. I got to play the video. We're going to get out of here. Are you ready? Let's get out of here. Bye.
This is FCTV, fan-controlled television. Programs created and produced for the fans, by the fans of fan-controlled sports and entertainment. As always.
We're back for hour 3 of Fan-Controlled Fandom. Hi, I'm Alex Enriquez, joined as always by Kenny
Not that video. Sorry, this video. Here we go. Bye.